On that New Year's Eve, snow fell heavily across the small town, blanketing everything in pure white. Each delicate snowflake drifted down gently, settling on rooftops, streets, and trees, covering the world in a soft, white blanket. The bitter cold wind howled through every alley and corner, cutting through the air like tiny knives. The gray sky gradually turned deep purple as twilight descended upon the town. On the streets below, people hurried home to celebrate the new year with their families. Laughter and cheerful voices echoed everywhere. Warm light glowed from windows like little stars in the darkness. The delicious aroma of festive meals filled the freezing air. The smell of roasted goose, freshly baked bread, cinnamon, and apples. Everyone had a home to return to. Everyone had loved ones waiting for them. But among the bustling crowd, there was a little girl walking alone through the cold. She was only about 10 years old. Her long golden hair flowed down to her shoulders, now covered with white snowflakes. Her big blue eyes were like two precious gems, but filled with deep sadness. Her pale skin had turned slightly blue from the cold, with only her cheeks and the tip of her nose flushed red. She wore a thin, worn brown dress that was faded and torn in many places, offering no protection against the biting cold. An old apron tied around her chest had also lost its color long ago. Her tiny bare feet walked on the frozen snow, turning red and numb from the piercing cold that crept through her small body. When she left home that morning, the little girl still had a pair of wooden slippers. They had belonged to her mother, far too big for her tiny feet, but they were better than nothing at all. However, while crossing the street, a horse carriage came rushing toward her at full speed. The little girl panicked and ran to escape. The oversized slippers flew off her feet as she ran. One fell into a drainage ditch and was swept away by the water, gone forever. The other one was snatched up by a mischievous boy who disappeared into the crowd. He laughed loudly, saying he would keep the slipper as a cradle for his baby sister someday. The little girl just stood there helplessly, unable to say a word. From that moment on, she had to walk barefoot through the freezing snow. Throughout that entire day, the little girl had wandered through every street, trying to sell her matches. She had called out to countless people passing by, her small voice growing weaker with each attempt. But no one bothered to stop and listen. People rushed past her, too busy thinking about their own New Year's Eve celebrations and warm dinners waiting at home. Some did not even glance at her, as if she were invisible. Others waved her away like she was nothing more than a bothersome fly. Not a single person paid attention to the little girl trembling in the bitter cold. Her pocket remained completely empty, without even a single coin. Her stomach ached with hunger. She had not eaten anything since early morning. Only the cold was real, seeping into every muscle and bone. The little girl did not dare to return home. She was terrified that her father would beat her if she came back empty-handed without selling a single match. Her father was a rough and cruel man who was often drunk on cheap liquor. He never had a kind word for her, only harsh commands and angry shouts. Her mother had passed away many years ago when she was very young. Her grandmother, the only person who ever truly loved her, had also left this world. Now she was all alone with her cold-hearted father, who showed her no affection. The tiny attic room where they lived was not much warmer than the streets outside anyway. The roof was full of holes, and the wind still crept through every crack. Being at home or staying outside felt equally cold and lonely. The sky grew darker and darker with each passing moment. The snow fell thicker and heavier now. The wind blew stronger and more fiercely than before. The little girl was completely exhausted, unable to take another single step forward. Her legs had gone completely numb, and she could barely feel them anymore. She stumbled toward a corner between two tall brick buildings to shelter from the howling wind. She sat down on the frozen ground, pulled her purple legs close to her chest, hugged her knees tightly, trying desperately to keep whatever little warmth remained in her tiny body. From this corner, she could see the warm golden light glowing from the windows of the house across the street. Inside, a happy family was gathered together, laughing and talking. The little girl watched them with glistening eyes, silently wishing she could sit in such a warm room. The little girl's hands had gone completely numb from the cold. Her tiny fingers were stiff and frozen, unable to feel anything at all.